Brian Clough was a big drunkard, and that's why he lost his life. But why did he risk it all for some alcohol? Let's find out. Brian Clough, born on March 21st, 1935, in Middlesbrough, North Riding of Yorkshire, was one of English football's most charismatic and successful figures, both as a player and as a manager. But long before he became a household name, he was just a boy growing up in a bustling family environment. Let's take a closer look at the early life of a man who would later be known as one of the greatest football managers of all time. Brian often said his childhood was like living in a small paradise. Even with all the chaos, he thought it was perfect. His mum worked super hard to take care of them all. Brian learned a lot about hard work from her. He always said that everything good about him came from those early days. Well, everything except his taste for a pint now and then. School wasn't really Brian's thing, especially when it came to books. He loved sports way more and ended up not doing great on big tests at school. But he didn't let that stop him. After school, Brian worked at a big company called ICI before he had to do his national service in the RAF. Those couple of years helped shape him up, teaching him discipline and leadership, things he used a lot when he later became a famous football player and manager. Very soon, Brian was discovered, and from here started his professional journey as a legendary football player. Clough really made his mark when he started playing professionally for Middlesbrough in the 1955-56 season. He was an incredible striker, scoring 204 goals in just 222 league games. He had a few seasons where he was scoring over 40 goals, leading the scoring charts twice in the late 50s. Despite his success, he wasn't very happy at Middlesbrough. He asked to be transferred several times and didn't get along well with some of his teammates. He felt frustrated by the team's weak defence, which often wasted his hard work by letting in too many goals. After one particularly bad game that ended in a 6-6 draw, he even questioned aloud how many goals they needed to score just to win. While playing for Middlesbrough, Clough met Peter Taylor, a goalkeeper who would later become his partner in coaching. Clough also played a couple of games for England's national team in 1959, though he didn't manage to score. In 1961, Clough moved to Sunderland after finally getting one of his transfer requests approved. He continued to shine, scoring 63 goals in 74 matches, but his time at Sunderland was cut short by a severe knee injury during a match in 1962. He collided with the opposing goalkeeper and damaged his knee so badly that he eventually had to retire from playing at just 29 years old. Even though he tried to come back 2 years later, he could only manage 3 more games. Despite his playing career ending so early, Clough is remembered as one of the most efficient goal scorers in English football history, having the highest goals per game ratio among players with over 200 goals. His early career, filled with incredible highs and significant lows, set the stage for his legendary status in football. And then came his managerial career, where Brian truly and genuinely defied all odds. Brian Clough was a famous football manager known for turning struggling teams into winners with his unique style and strong personality. He started managing at Hartlepool United in 1965, where he quickly showed he could improve a team. In 1967, he took over at Derby County, a team that wasn't doing very well. Clough changed that quickly, winning the second division and then the prestigious First Division by 1972. However, Clough often got into arguments because he spoke his mind and didn't shy away from saying what he thought, even if it upset people. This led to him leaving Derby and having a very short and troubled time at Leeds United, where he lasted only 44 days because he didn't get along with the players or the other staff. In 1975, Clough took charge of Nottingham Forest, a team that was not doing great in the second division. He turned Forest into one of the best teams in England and Europe, winning the English League and 2 European Cups in a row. Clough was known for being very strict but also really caring about his players, creating a family-like atmosphere at the club. Despite all the success, Clough had big personal struggles, especially with drinking, which affected his work later on very much. Now, before we move to his battle with alcohol, please make sure to hit the subscribe button to stay updated on all football legends. Thanks. Brian Clough's struggle with alcohol is a well-known part of his life story, showing how intense pressure can affect famous sports figures. His drinking problems became noticeable in the 1970s when he was quickly becoming a famous football manager. As his career successes increased, so did his stress, which he often dealt with by drinking. During his most successful years, Clough was known for his unique coaching style and his bold, outspoken personality. At first, people thought his drinking was just part of his flamboyant nature, as noted by people like Duncan Hamilton, who knew him well. But over time, it became clear that his occasional drinking had turned into a serious dependency. His alcoholism impacted his work, health, and personal and professional relationships. Even though he had support from his family and colleagues, Clough had a hard time fighting his addiction, especially during a time when such issues were not discussed openly or treated effectively. As Clough got older and moved toward retirement in the mid-1990s, his health problems worsened. Years of stress and drinking had taken a heavy toll on his body. By the time he retired, he was not only fighting alcoholism, but also facing other serious health issues. His health took another hit when he was diagnosed with stomach cancer in the early 2000s. Stomach cancer is aggressive and can be linked to lifestyle choices like drinking. His cancer was diagnosed late and got worse quickly. Despite his doctor's efforts and his family's support, the disease was too much to handle. Clough passed away in 2004 at age 69 in Derby City Hospital. Despite facing personal issues and causing some controversies, Brian Clough made a big mark on football. He earned many awards, including a spot in the English Football Hall of Fame. Nottingham Forest even named their biggest stand after him, the Brian Clough stand. He was so important to Nottingham and Derby that both cities gave him the honour of Freedom of the City. Clough died in September 2004 at the age of 69, and his death really affected the football world. Fans from Derby County and Nottingham Forest, usually rivals, united to grieve for him. So many people turned up for his memorial service that it had to be moved to Derby's Pride Park Stadium to fit everyone. This showed just how much people respected and loved him. Clough was a complicated person, known for both his achievements in football and his struggles with alcoholism and stomach cancer. Even though he sometimes found himself in controversial situations, he stayed a well-loved and important figure in football. All in all, Brian's rise in football began with his remarkable ability as a striker, where he achieved a record-setting goal-scoring pace. However, his career was cut short by injury, leading him to management where he truly made his mark. At Derby County and later at Nottingham Forest, he crafted teams that not only won, but did so with style and determination. Despite his personal battles, Clough's influence in the sport remains undeniable. He is remembered not just for the victories and titles, but for the way he changed the game with his bold, straightforward style and the deep connections he forged with players and fans alike. His dedication and achievements earned him a revered place in the hearts of many, leading to tributes like Nottingham Forest naming their largest stand after him, and both Nottingham and Derby granting him the freedom of the city. Even after his passing, Clough's influence continues to be felt, reflecting both the highs and lows of his remarkable journey through life and football. R.I.P. Legend.